Ladies and gentlemen, there won't be Justice John Roberts presiding over the Senate impeachment trial. There'll be another person. A person that Trump fears the most. That's right. It's gonna be me.
I don't know if you've heard this, but this is probably the best thing to ever happen to Donald Trump. Leahy, not Roberts, to preside over impeachment trial. January 25th, 2021. This is a Hill article.
I'm so happy, I can't even tell you.
Supreme Court Justice John Roberts will not preside over former President Trump's Senate impeachment trial, which is scheduled to begin in earnest on February 8th. Instead, President Pro Temp Patrick Leahy, the most senior member of the Senate Democratic Conference, will preside over the trial.
Oh, Chuck Grassley, how you like me now? How you like me now, Chuck? How you like me now?
Leahy on Monday confirmed he would wield the gavel.
I've been working out.
Wield the gavel and promised to administer impartial justice.
Nobody's more impartial than I am. In fact,
well, the President Pro Temp has historically presided over Senate impeachment trials of non-presidents. When has there been a Senate impeachment trial of a maybe there has been. I don't know of a Senate impeachment trial of a non-president. When presiding over an impeachment trial, the President Pro Temp takes an additional special oath.
I solemnly swear.
To take an additional oath to do impartial justice, according to Impartial Justice. This will be completely impartial. Do we have another Steele dossier? Anything. What did he do in a Moscow hotel room? These aren't baseless allegations. It's actually true. It takes an additional special oath to do impartial justice, according to the Constitution and its laws. It's an oath that I take extraordinarily seriously, he said in a statement. Yeah, right. Hit subscribe to this channel. This is a victory, a monumental win. This is a monumental win for President Trump. This is the worst thing that could happen to the Democrats and to anyone that thinks that Trump directly told those people to commit those absurd and atrocious acts that I condemn. Those five people should be alive today. That is the true tragedy here. But President Trump did not tell anyone. His political speech is protected by the First Amendment. Should there have been protests that day? No. There shouldn't have been. There needed to be a national dialogue and discourse. President Trump's legal team needed to do a lot of things in terms of creating a debate, a dialogue, a discourse in this country. We have a country of 320 million people. We are seen or viewed, or we consider ourselves the world's greatest democracy, and yet there's one political viewpoint. There's only political discourse in this country runs through the lenses and the viewpoints of apoplectic, fanatical, hysterical, seething, fuming, indignant, morally superior liberal Democrats. There's only one viewpoint, unfortunately, because Republicans, the Republican Party, doesn't speak with one voice. Democrats do. Hit subscribe to this channel right now. Get this segment going. We're on our way back to 200,000 subscribers and beyond. It's interesting. I'm going to need my viewers for the next 4 years. Hopefully many of you will enjoy or not, I don't want to say need, but enjoy my voice. And this will be like almost therapy for both of us to deal with the next 4 years. This is the worst thing to happen to Democrats and the best thing to happen to Trump. And it actually is everything you need to know about a Biden presidency. Nobody's focused on what this man has accomplished or doing. No, the left doesn't care about his executive orders. The left now has to deal with the fact that they're not going to implement Medicare for all. The planet's going to cease to exist in 11 years, according to the UN. because there's no Green New Deal legislation. So, I mean, the Democrats always had the obstacles of universal basic income, Green New Deal legislation, not a public relations stunt like a resolution, Medicare for all, not just an improvement on or protecting the ACA. The Democrats don't have a mandate in terms of legislation. They don't have a mandate in terms of governing. There's now a power-sharing agreement between McConnell and Schumer. Okay? The two sides of the same coin have now become just two sides of the same coin. There's no difference now. So were there missteps with President Trump? Sure there were. There needed to be a national dialogue. There needed to be a discourse. But, and he, certain things he shouldn't have tweeted. But other than that, his achievements were profound. He had foreign policy achievements that will live on forever. And Democrats don't care. Like, literally, if you tell a Democratic voter, a liberal Democrat, about being the first president to step foot in North Korea, where President Moon Jae-in of South Korea stated he deserved the Nobel Peace Prize, they don't care. If you say, hey, the Abraham Accords, he presided over peace deals in the region of the world where peace deals are not only hard to come by, they never happen. Peace between Israel, UAE, Morocco, Bahrain. Formal recognition when people thought that would never take place. I think there's like a clip of John Kerry saying it would never ever happen. I mean, there's so many great things that President Trump did. Allocated more funding to historically black colleges and universities than any president ever. Made that funding permanent. Signed the First Step Act. We had record low unemployment for most of President Trump's tenure. He didn't tell New York and New Jersey and other states, and God bless the people of New York and New Jersey. Only the best people, the most amazing, wonderful people live in New York and New Jersey. But they're run by it's just Democratic rule. Just like California, Democratic-run states have the worst outcomes with the pandemic. Republican states generally have much better outcomes. That's a fact according to the New York Times. Look at the New York Times statistics. What states are the highest in terms of per capita rate? What states are the highest in terms of unemployment? You can go to Bureau of Labor Statistics. What states are in the New York Times? What states have the greatest number of lives lost? New York is the epicenter of this pandemic. And yet, Cuomo has a book out on leadership lessons. The public relations worked for the last year to paint Trump as a villain, that it's all his fault. But the reality is the governors were more interested, the Democratic Party governors were more interested in impeaching Trump the first time than they were about looking into the future a bit and seeing what was on the horizon. They had state-of-the-state addresses, like the president has a State of the Union address. These governors, you can look at the actual state-of-the-state addresses. None of them brought up the impending pandemic. But here, you're not going to have John Roberts because the Constitution states that the Chief Justice needs to preside over the impeachment, the Senate impeachment trial of a sitting president. They are so at a loss for what's going to happen, and I explained in my last segment. They need another public relations victory over President Trump. Okay, unfortunately, this is going to be a disaster for them in terms of PR, in terms of politics. Trump's going to be acquitted. So Democrats are actually trying to vindicate the same man that they view to be a monster and a nightmare. He's going to be acquitted. The Chief Justice is not going to be presiding over this. It's going to be like an even bigger racket and scam than it already is. Patrick Leahy is going to preside over this. So you have, it's like a kangaroo court. You have a senior Democratic, highly partisan senator preside. So there's nothing impartial about it. Could you imagine if Josh Hawley or Ted Cruz or Mitch McConnell. Could you imagine if Mitch McConnell presided over... Could you imagine if Mitch McConnell presided over the impeachment of a Senate trial of President Obama or Jimmy Carter or whatever, Bill Clinton? And then the media said it's completely unbiased, nonpartisan. Mitch McConnell will be very fair to Bill Clinton. They don't work that way. They're the definition of hypocrites. When it suits them, they have a different set of rules. When it doesn't suit them, for example, any bias at all, implicit, subliminal, through osmosis, they are going to call out Democrats. If Peter Strzok literally texts his lover, we will stop Trump, oh, that's okay. I mean, he was just investigating a politician he viewed to be a menace and a monster. And I'm sure it didn't affect his work. I mean, this is why Americans don't trust, 60% of Americans don't trust media, and I think a greater percentage don't trust government. So, I mean, it's like you cannot be lied to all the time and then complain that Trump lies. Okay? When in reality, you look at the Washington Post tally of lies, and like a third of them are just absolutely true. Where they're just being petulant. It was a CBS news article, CBS Market Watch article, from a journalist that actually looked and analyzed the tally of lies. Okay, they don't. Where's the running tally of lies with Biden? No. Oh, and this is interesting. Politico. This is hilarious. I mean, you can't make this up. This is even worse than Leahy presiding and Roberts not presiding for Democrats. Politico has an article. Trump loyalists want to make the White House press corps a battlefield. Or what? Okay, hold on one second. So Politico, this is hilarious. This is really hilarious. Oh, MAGA media looks to turn White House briefing into a battlefield. What? Are you kidding me? Some Trump-loving members of the press corps are eager to get access to the Biden White House. What? They're saying that media associated with President Trump isn't being fair and trying to make a circus. We've experienced 4 years of performance art from CNN journalists who wouldn't give up a microphone to a woman that was trying to take the microphone. Where were the wonderful feminists saying, how dare you refuse to give the microphone back? I mean, my God, every single day it was Trump. How dare you? One reporter in the White House press corps said, "Are you going to apologize for all the lies you told?" How come they didn't say that to ask that of President Obama? I mean, it's unbelievable. When President Obama drank Flint water and said it was safe to drink, nobody asked him. Nobody said, "Hey, is that true? Was that safe to drink actually?" When President Obama presided over a failed NATO intervention, simply to protect the people of Libya, nobody said, "Hey, why did you do that when you caused a decade of chaos and sorrow and suffering and civil conflict and strife?" President Obama's NATO intervention didn't result in peace or the protection of life. Not at all. To the contrary, it turned the country into a failed state. Where were the indignant White House reporters saying, "Hey, you promised all of these things, or you justified the NATO intervention by stating you had to do so"? Well, the opposite took place. How do you respond? Did you lie? Were you telling the truth? Was there an ulterior motive to do this? We can go on forever. President Obama lied about the Clinton servers with top secret intel. I mean, the Democrats get away with the most things because they have a virtual monopoly on political discourse because the media is now firmly an extension of the Democratic Party. So you can look, I mean, now they're complaining about how Biden is getting treated by media beholden to Trump. Excuse me? There's now they're trying to make it this whole thing, if you watch the news, this somber, the articles are being sent to the Senate. You can impeach Trump 30 times or 40 times the next 4 years. You can have, Klobuchar and Pelosi, and you can have every impartial Democrat, presiding over the impeachment trial, or the Senate impeachment trial. So, more Democratic senators. You can have Kamala Harris. You could have Elizabeth Warren. You can have any Senate Democrat for the next 30, 40 times, impeaching Trump they can impeach Trump for 30 times the next 4 years. He runs again, he'll still easily crush every Republican. Now, if he just learns from mistakes, like not tweeting certain things, not saying certain things, being a little bit more diplomatic, there's no stopping President Trump. But give me your thoughts below. Hit subscribe to this channel, ladies and gentlemen. You had virtual performance art every single day. Every single day was can you disparage the president? And the White House press corps was just the most petulant, malicious group of people. All they wanted to do was undermine and disparage. And you have these. It was like a high school, dysfunctional high school. I just want to let you know, Mr. President, that journalist is a really good person. It's like, dude, nobody cares. Half the country sees you for what you are. The other half doesn't care. As long as you dislike Trump. The past 4 years, people have made millions, made names for themselves, just simply for disliking Trump. You have Hollywood actors you've never heard of or haven't heard of since the 80s. Come out of the woodwork and make names for themselves again, simply because they dislike Trump. The grift, people said, "Oh yeah, you support Trump for the money." It's like, no, there's actually infinitely more money, pretending to despise Trump or disliking Trump. That's where the money is. I want Americans home from never-ending counterinsurgency conflicts. That's what I think is the biggest moral dilemma we face as a country. I voted for President Trump because I want Americans home. A great many people did. 74 million Americans voted for Trump for various reasons. Almost all of them noble. Okay. Simply voting for Biden because you didn't like Trump, that's not a noble reason. Or that's not, I should say, it's not as important as wanting to bring Americans home from never-ending conflict, which is what I did. I want to bring Americans home. He reversed U.S. foreign policy. The Lincoln Project is firmly embedded within the Democratic Party. They're the ones running the Democratic Party's foreign policy. You can see from Libya, from the votes for Kerry, Clinton, Biden, they all voted alongside Bush, Cheney, and Rumsfeld. So then you have the nation writing, Biden's not going to intervene in countries. Like, what? That's his history in terms of foreign policy has been only unmitigated disasters, from Libya to Bush's foreign policy. So it's funny, you have the early 2000s liberal Democrats who claim to oppose Bush, and they're okay with the Lincoln Project and the Democratic Party. You couldn't find, and everything's Trump's fault, because it's President Trump also took a sledgehammer, and he had that approach, that bulldozer, that kind of in-your-face approach every 2 seconds. That wasn't necessarily the best thing. That wasn't the best thing at all times, because it just got them to the point where they don't have rational thought now pertaining to Trump. But anyway, give me your thoughts below. Patrick Leahy presiding over this is just hilarious. And it really doesn't matter how many times they impeach Trump. Trump runs the Republican Party. This is an inconvenient truth that Mitt Romney and Pelosi and Schumer don't want to accept. Give me your